a Troop production.
My dear Conquista tu Mundo community, I'm happy because we're debuting a new set. And I've really missed being with you in this interview format on this podcast. You made it really big. And now, obviously, I'm answering those requests from Johnny, like, please bring back those interviews. We love them. And that's why I brought a very special guest, someone who's going to talk a lot about the topics we love in this community. And it's Emmanuel Sentis. Welcome to Conquer Your World. Hey, wonderful people, how are you? I'm Emmanuel Sentis.
I'm nervous about the season starting and the new space opening. Well, debuting the set with you and for me to be the first guest, but don't feel pressured. Yes, I do feel pressured, but I can't pressure. How cool. It's truly an honor for me. Thanks for inviting me. Likewise, we've known each other for a while now. Our content, even though it's not the same, I think it carries messages with a similar purpose, yeah? And it's great to be able to exchange ideas and do this because I know it's something people like. It's also something that needs to be emphasized more in the media because people are starting to forget about it. But I also know that there's this other side that people are looking for it more and more. And that's why we're here.
And also very much in line because today we're going to break down this modern love, which really isn't love at all. It tastes more like heartbreak. And compare it a little with old-fashioned love, with all its lights and shadows. But first, I'd like to ask you, how old are you, Emmanuel? I really like that you talk about these topics at such a young age. At least that's what I think. I'm 29 years old.
I don't know how much that's considered young or not, but you're 1 year away from not being so young. The pressure is already there, but yeah, 29. I think these are topics that were always seen as normal in my house. I mean, my parents have been together for over 30 years and had a 7-year courtship before getting married. My brother is already married and has been with his partner for 11 years. So, I mean, I'm kind of used to seeing this part of promoting, seeing a nice and healthy relationship, and in my world, it was just normal. That's good. It doesn't work for me, being single. So no, it's not that easy, but I think that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Exactly. And that's really important because the truth is, there's no age for love, and there's no age to fall in love and to experience a beautiful love. We're all young. We're very used to seeing these reels of old people on social media. Yes, like only they can, or that beautiful and mature love only happens when you reach 80 or 90. And that's not true. We can build it from our first relationships. Let's start from scratch, if that's okay with you. Currently, you've shared that healthy love was present in your home.
Yes.
Now that you're single, how do you feel about being single?
Well, I think I've experienced being single in many ways because I do think I've fallen for and bought into the idea that single people are in a way labeled as failures. Is it because things aren't going well for you or what? The most common hate I get on social media is, how can you talk about love if you're single? I've realized being single isn't only about that. I mean, being single is about learning to build yourself and really getting ready for the person who might come along, because sometimes a lot of people want to find someone, and when that person shows up, you don't know what to do with her or him. I don't know. It depends on the person. So I think I was like that. At some point, I was so anxious to find a partner that when I met someone, I would automatically assign them qualities and say, she has to be the one. She has to be the one. And obviously it didn't work because we were completely different people, or I didn't give myself the time to get to know them. And that has a lot to do with, for example, modern love, where everything has to be like that fast, immediate.
And you're giving a very important clue. And we're going to get into that deeply. That not all love stories are about two people who meet and love themselves. Many of the best love stories are about a single person who learns how to love themselves. So during singleness, it's really important that we do that because only then will we stop doing what you're mentioning, projecting onto the other person, all these insecurities, desires, things like that make us want to fill a void or choose from a place of lack, instead of starting to build a beautiful relationship. So how do you live your self-love during your singleness? I mean, before you answer that, for example, that's key. I mean, I know that right now you're off the market and you're not available anymore.
But I'm married, maybe before, and you can tell me if I'm right or not. When you suddenly say, I don't want to look anymore. I mean, I'm tired of it. I mean, no, I'm not looking for anything right now. I'm not available for others now because I want to focus on myself and enjoy being single. That's when more people appear, more options arise. And it's like life says, didn't you say you didn't want this? Well, here it is. I think that has to do with the fact that you're so focused on being yourself, on being an authentic, genuine person, without putting on a mask for people, that you become attractive because people are seeing someone real. And usually, when you're trying to find someone, what you do is put on a mask and try to please everyone and try to impress and try to be perfect. And then people, in a way, maybe sense a bit of fakeness, and so you're not as attractive anymore. And that's also why they say, why does everyone like you except the person you want to like you? Because with everyone you don't like, you don't care what they think of you. So you're real and authentic, just yourself. And that's very attractive because nowadays is nobody is themselves. I mean, everyone wants to be someone for others, like to fit into a certain role. But when you like someone, you get nervous. You want to think about your answers so they don't get the wrong idea. So they think, oh, this is someone worthwhile. And in a way, you're already acting. That's why it's not so easy to be attractive to someone.
And for example, there you're already bringing up something very important and very interesting, which is being genuine. Yes. How can we get to know ourselves? Be authentic and build this authenticity while we're single so that eventually when we meet someone, we don't feel like we have to play a role because we think we're not enough. What do you do each day to feel good about yourself?
Look, I think that's a question that has taken me many years to really understand because even though I talk about these topics and I understand how things should be, it's not the same to understand it as it is to put it into practice because obviously giving advice is really easy, of course. I mean, it's really easy to tell people what they have to do because there's no responsibility involved where you actually have to act for it to happen. So I think the way to take off the mask and be authentic is number one, accepting who you are and accepting what you are. I mean that we've been taught that in this world you don't have to show interest anymore, that you don't have to show it anymore, that if you're interested in someone or if you like someone, you have to express it that way. I mean, you have to be distant, cold, and then play games.
Yeah, like I'm interested in you, but I don't show it. That's like modern love. Or I don't text you even though I want to, so you don't think I'm too intense.
I miss you, but I don't say it directly. Instead, I just put up something cryptic on social media so you'll see it, then check if you notice and react, which you do. So my plan works. But then I think you suddenly realize that it's not really genuine. So it's about rethinking what you want, what you're looking for, what you need, what makes you happy, and what doesn't. So that little by little you start becoming or adapting that version of yourself that you might have forgotten just to take on a new persona for society and for yourself. Of course, it's hard because obviously nobody likes to feel singled out. Like, why is Manuel like that? But I think when you realize that being different isn't so bad. I mean, being that black sheep that from the beginning seems like it's been given a negative label. On the contrary, I think that being the black sheep in a world of identical sheep is an excellent quality. And I learned to embrace it. Like, okay, that's my differentiator. That's the part I'm going to show people, that you can be happy being yourself. So rather than viewing it as a flaw, you begin to see it as a virtue. And I think it's complicated because obviously you face criticism and you come across people who will never think the same way you do. But in the end, I think it's 1,000 times better to be alone than to be with people who are just fake. And you have to make yourself small just to fit in there. So, no, I mean, I don't think there's an exactly perfect recipe that works for everyone. But I do think there has to be some inner work.
But I do think you're giving a really important key, which is being single. Let your dates be with yourself, to get to know yourself, not looking outside for someone else, accepting yourself, trying to be a genuine version of yourself. Tu vida o cosas que realmente quieras cambiar, and see yourself with all your lights and shadows, celebrate your lights, recognize your shadows, and see which ones you need to work on, the ones that aren't bringing good results to your life, or things you really want. And from there, not wanting to be someone else or pretending to be a person you're not. To fit in with a group of friends, to be liked by someone you like, but rather to realize if the version of yourself is liked by that person or those people. If not, you can improve, but don't diminish yourself for it. That's where we're getting lost, Manuel. In the the part where people want to take the leap to connect with someone. And it's becoming this dating landscape, this famous modern love that makes us long a bit for old fashioned love, right? Where do you think the missing links are?
Look, I think, well, I think there are many ways to try to interpret this. And just to be clear, for the people listening, it's not like I'm defending old-fashioned love 100% tooth and nail, because like everything, there are good things and bad things. Just the other day, I was listening to a podcast, and it said something like, look, everyone complains about this modern love because you have everything at your fingertips with social media. And before, it wasn't like that. I think social media has a lot of advantages in the sense that nowadays you can get an idea very quickly of who a person is, which maybe isn't everything because everyone presents an image of themselves on social media. But you do have the chance that if someone says, hey, this person asked about you and wants to go out with you, at that moment, it's like, let me see their Instagram. And honestly, you can get a huge idea of what they're like, how they behave with people.
What usually happens is that, well, it happened to me when I was single that I would see that PowerPoint on social media. That's what you call a presentation, a portfolio, a showcase. And I would say, wow, she's so beautiful, so charismatic. She looks like she's super cheerful. She looks like she loves to read because she's always pictured with her book and her coffee. At the time of our date, she turned out to be serious and shy, and she didn't actually read. It was just for the photo. So it's like, how much of a mask is this social network? I mean, it totally works as a filter, basically to see how much is real and how much isn't.
You can't just rely on social media, but you also can't only trust the person in front of you. Because if you're meeting someone for the first time and you say they're shy, they're reserved, they're like this, but on social media they show a completely different side. And it's their alter ego. You also can't just trust the person in front of you because that means either they're pretending with you or they have an alter ego. They would love those excesses or that lifestyle, and eventually that reveals something about them. I don't just believe when they say it's content and alter ego or just my character. No, I think that everything in a way, although I do understand that comedy exists and humor exists, and there's also the part about not taking everything so personally. I do think it does reveal something about you. I mean, so you do have to look for a balance. You have to say what's the real part or how much works for you and how much doesn't.
I mean, how well does it work for you, for example, to flirt on social media? What's the process like? I even remember when it
Add reply to stories, like posts, everything. No, look, honestly, I can't stand this new era where everything is done through social media now. I mean, I was actually thinking about it on my way here because I was just thinking that a lot of times when we think about old-fashioned love, we only think about our grandparents' love and going way back. But no, look, I think I've actually experienced a transition from how things used to be to how they are now. I mean, I remember, I don't know, in middle school, in high school, when you liked someone, it was nice to have to go recharge your phone just to make a call and talk for 5 minutes because your credit would run out just like that. Yeah, but it was nice. And it was a different way to start having that connection, that contact, and that courtship with the other person, or to wait until you saw them at school the next day so you could talk, invite them to eat. And now everything happens just like that. Yeah. If you're interested in someone, you usually just react to a story to see if they feel the same, since nobody takes risks anymore. Yeah, I mean, they post something, and it's like a smiley face, or you laugh or comment on something related to that. And based on what they reply, you can see, well, yeah, they were interested that I wrote to them. And that's where the flirting starts. But I find it boring now, since everyone can do it that way. No one gets that adrenaline anymore. You do it with one person, but they don't only do it with you.
Gen. The flirting you're talking about is massively replying or reacting to stories, and people do it all the time.
People only respond to those they like, which is why others no longer care if someone leaves. Because you know that maybe you reacted to 10 people and it's like an elimination round, like, okay, out of these 10, 3 replied to me. So these 3 are the ones worth talking to right now. And tomorrow, maybe another 2 of the ones you reacted to reply. Yeah. Now you see the bigger picture. If someone leaves, you aren't really losing since you have many options. And I've already mentioned this on the podcast. Obviously, it's not something I invented, but I really like to bring it up, which is the paradox of choice. It's a paradox. Well, it's a theory that says that it seems like the more options you have, the easier it would be to choose, because you have this huge catalog and can say, okay, what do I like based on what I want? And it would be very simple because you have so many options at your fingertips that it should be easy to do. But actually, the opposite happens. The more options you have, the more complicated it becomes. Because before, I don't know, our grandparents obviously didn't have social media and this technology and this reach. And so maybe in their social circle, there were three people, and out of those three, they had to choose one. So they were saying no to two. And it sounds very simple because the sacrifice was small. But nowadays, with social media, saying yes to one is saying no to millions. Now, it seems simple, but saying no to millions for one person sounds horrible because the risk and sacrifice seem huge.
Curiosity and seeing if there's someone more perfect, and like, why commit to one person when you can explore more options? And maybe there's someone prettier, richer, wealthier with a better body, right? And that would seem, as you said, like it would make us happier. But it's causing us a lot of stress, loneliness, and a lot of disconnection. But not only that, so our self-esteem is also at stake. And all this fear of rejection. Hey, because if I'm sending fire emojis or replying to 20 people's stories and none of them answer me, none of them like me, or the same thing happens to them, right? Hey, well, they do react to me, but honestly, it's only when I post pictures in a bikini. I mean, I'm just a sexual object. So there are so many things at play that it seems like we'd be happier, like you said, with so many options. But actually, we're not. We're stressed, disconnected, turning ourselves into products we market to others. And let's not even talk about dating apps. Have you been on any?
No, but I mean, I think I do know people who have used them. And look, personally, I think they can work, but it's like one case in 1,000. I mean, and the same thing happens. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a catalog where you're hoping to find something better. You know, you're constantly there, and your brain is playing its game of distancing and saying, like, okay, this is interesting. But for you to be able to settle down and get to know someone, you really need your attention to be focused on one person. I mean, I don't think you can really get to know someone if your attention is divided and scattered, getting to know 20 others at the same time, no matter how focused you are. I don't think you're a very focused person if you're flirting with 20 people at the same time. But let's say no matter how good you are.
I mean, I don't think you can really get to know someone 100% if you're not even trying. No. And now people confuse chatting for months with actually asking someone out. Yes. Sending a little flame is like greeting someone in a cafe and saying, "Hi, how are you?" With all the nerves that come with it, or I don't know. Now people put more effort into a filter, a photo, or a reel, editing a reel, than in being a good person with good sense.
Let's look at it the other side now, since we've only discussed what doesn't work in modern love without even trying. I mean, I don't think you can meet someone. Why did it work? I mean, why do you think relationships lasted so long beyond the fact that they didn't have so many options? Why is it that suddenly it seemed like people actually committed and really tried? I mean, why is it easier to let go nowadays? Besides the fact that there are so many options, why don't people show that kind of commitment? Why did people stay together before? I know many couples have been together for 20 years, even if they weren't happy, often sleeping in separate rooms. So why did people have it before? I mean, why was it about settling?
What do you think? No. I think that before there wasn't this disposable culture with so many options, and I actually agree with you that people used to make an effort to make things work. There are other stories, but we're not talking about submission or being unable to go places due to lack of money, especially for women. That's why this force of feminism was born and so on. But I think that's why, because people made an effort to make it work.
I don't know, what else? And I also think that before talking about marriage, for example, was a topic of longing. I mean, I think before it really was something people aspired to. Yes, and I think nowadays it's become less important. I mean, people just being good to themselves is enough. It's more individualistic. Yes, I mean, I think we've been, and and I think it's also kind of funny that nowadays it seems like we're given so many tools to be free, to work on our autonomy, that we end up taking it to the extreme and becoming selfish. We do everything so individually that we no longer see the other person. I mean, we're no longer interested in whether the other person is comfortable or if they feel good or if they fit in somewhere, because we're only looking out for ourselves. So when something no longer works for us, and comparing, for example, old-fashioned love and modern love, before, when there was a problem, people would fight. I mean, people would argue. People wanted to fix it. Today, maybe you don't even argue anymore. I just block you.
Yeah.
De sanar, I block you. I disappear, I move on to someone else, and then there's not even a chance for people to build or to heal.
The phrase let go is so trendy now that no one talks about holding on. I completely agree with you, especially since there are so many options as we've discussed. Oh, you know what? What a drag. Look, this one didn't do what I like or didn't say what I wanted. So I'd rather just go with the next option, right? Like, oh, this thing I bought on Amazon or Mercado Libre arrived defective. Well, I'll just add another one to the cart. Yeah. It seems really easy, but it doesn't work in the long run. And that's why the more you try to play this game, the emptier you feel.
I was thinking about something. Let me see. I just need to organize my thoughts. I think social media is also very dangerous and plays a fundamental role in the society we live in today where everyone is already an expert. I mean, for example, I don't know. The other day I was watching a video on TikTok or Instagram, I don't remember where, but it was about 5 characteristics of a narcissist. So obviously they mentioned 5 really general things that could apply to anyone. So imagine you're dating someone and you have your doubts. And 3 of those characteristics seem to fit them. You automatically say, you're a narcissist and I don't want you anymore. And look, I don't think you can just go around diagnosing people at random because that's probably not the case. And you're distancing yourself. Yourself and looking for an excuse to make impulsive decisions that make you feel like you're the one who's... And obviously, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, in the end, we're human. People have the right to suddenly feel differently about someone else because we're used to just looking. But when you try, you're looking to make it work. So obviously there will be discomfort, incompatibilities, and other things. But just because someone is called toxic, which is a term now used for almost anything, doesn't necessarily mean they are. So I think that with social media, we also need to learn to filter information and realize what things apply and what things don't.
Who we follow, who we listen to, who has the credentials or the authority to talk about these topics, who is just doing it for the likes, and above all, what really adds to us and helps us grow and what is limiting us. Because look at everything we've revealed so far. We're deep in the paradox of choice. We're playing this game where our self-esteem is getting hurt because of this unconscious rejection. But we feel it all the time, right? By rarely matching, not dating, and only occasionally getting messages. We're also limiting ourselves a lot and living with a lot of anxiety because this one's a narcissist, and this one is going to ghost me, and this one is going to leave, and this one is going to be unfaithful. And I don't want anyone. And then you add all this individualism. So it's no coincidence that people don't want to make an effort and that modern love is a mess. What things would you keep from what you call old-fashioned love? Besides the conversations, commitment.
Commitment. In what way? Commitment is a key. And I think modern love isn't broken. I mean, it's not like it doesn't work. It's just a little hurt, in a way. I mean, because in the end, I think people are still looking to find, in one way or another, the person who makes them feel different, feel good. But the thing is, no one really has the ability. Or maybe no one wants to commit to making things work anymore. Because commitment means working, effort, it means tolerance. It means fixing things that might be broken. It means building things that might not exist yet. I mean, maybe before people had relationships that worked. Why? Because they really tried to make it work. It wasn't about seeing if it would work, but about making it work. I'm like this, and you're like that. What's the compromise? Let's create something. They managed to make things work even when it seemed impossible. And that's the part I'm telling you about, that nowadays people don't even want to argue. I mean, nowadays when even a little effort is required or the slightest problem comes up, people run away. People claim they're just looking out for themselves to justify their actions, but I don't believe that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, we're self-sabotaging with a facade or a mask for people, pretending we have high self-esteem when it might actually be the opposite. I mean, I think love, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of, well, yes, I mean, having the ability to open up to someone else, being vulnerable, which I think is also something people don't want to do anymore, but hoping that the person in front of you knows how to take care of it. And if Not, well, you'll know how to pick up your heart or your emotions and walk out with your head held high, with your dignity intact. Because you know you gave your 100%.
Of course, so you said two really beautiful words, which are commitment and courage. Yes, but that commitment and courage, besides being clearly about the relationship and the other person, should also be with yourself. Yes, when we're in a romantic relationship, and not many people realize this consciously, we embark on a really tough, uncomfortable, and rocky journey of self discovery. We see in the other person everything we project onto them, and they reflect things we don't like. But it's not always about the other person, it's us. And since it makes us uncomfortable and we don't know how to work on ourselves, that's when we run away from love. When in reality, we're running away from ourselves and going somewhere that's not necessarily better or nicer. Not a relationship, but somewhere easier, where not much is demanded of us, where we only get pleasure, not so much where we're pushed to grow. And that's killing more relationships than all the narcissists and anything else you can think of. Well, yes and no.
Because look, think about it. I was thinking about this years ago, and today I realize how wrong my thinking was. I mean, because I think we all know someone or have experienced it ourselves, at least I have, right? And now I'm going to explain what I mean. That there is always someone, like, for example, my best friends, it's always like, no, I was with this girl for 10 years, but we kept breaking up and getting back together, breaking up and getting back together. It was a really toxic relationship, but we couldn't let go. One day I wondered, why has no one ever fought that hard for me? I mean, why have I never had someone that if I told them I didn't want to be with them anymore, they would still chase after me, or if they broke up with me, I would chase after them? Yay! I mean, I questioned myself and said, why was I never enough for someone to want to stay with me? Look, my thinking was very toxic, exactly, because I didn't want that, but I felt like that was love because that's how I saw it with everyone else. And I would think, well, I never had that kind of relationship. And one day, I told a friend about it, and she said, well, that's exactly it. I mean, it's because you're not someone who puts up with that. You're someone who knows what you want. And when you know something isn't working, you end things. You don't play games like, I love you, but I don't show it. You have clear boundaries. And while that can seem cold at times, it's not really the case. So I think I just answered what you were saying. Many long-lasting relationships today aren't always the best. That's right. People who just don't know how to let go anymore, but they're so used to each other that, as they say, habit wins over love, because love doesn't exist anymore.
You know what, Emmanuel? Now that you mention it, first of all, if you want someone to fight for you, fight for yourself. That's real self love, not the ego we're talking about. That's number one. Number two, of course, you're going to read, reflect, and suddenly gain perspective and give yourself some time and all that. But if it's already something so toxic and it's just a pattern where you don't let go because you don't know how to move on and build yourself up to reach another level, and you just stay stuck with that cruel teacher, well, that's a huge warning sign. And no, don't you think it has a lot to do with the culture we live in too? Listen to any song, watch any movie, and that's how you described it. I can't let you go, I'll die without you, or they keep breaking up and getting back together.
It's a question you can ask and test with anyone in your circle. I mean, ask them what's your favorite romance movie. Let's ask them to tell us in the comments. Let's see. Yes, tell me. Or even behind the cameras, a romance movie that comes to your mind quickly. The Notebook. Which one? Love, Rosie? I don't know that. It's the same, a friendship where they like each other, but it doesn't work out. In the end, they each have their own life, but still keep an eye on each other. I mean, how much do we romanticize interest as obsession? It's the same as in The Notebook. Yeah. They show it to you like, wow, because love can do anything. And if you want it, or if it's meant to be, it will be. But if you translate it, it's an obsession. I mean, the guy stays obsessed with her his whole life. He doesn't move on. And the other girl is also unfaithful because, I mean, she doesn't respect her current partner when she's supposedly in love with him. Where's the love? It's very toxic. In reality, no one would want to go through that. They romanticize it, making it seem sweet that an old couple died together in bed. But truly, nobody would want that. Sure, they were old, but what a sad life they had. That's right.
The truth is that we need to look at what love really is more consciously. It does involve a lot of pleasure and struggle and all this romantic stuff, which is also fine. Romanticism, roses, chocolates, and all that. But it's mainly individual and teamwork when it comes to this toxic, childish stuff that has a lot of hints of emptiness and lack. I don't know. Now, speaking of emptiness and lack, how much do we confuse things today? Love with mere validation.
It's different when someone pays attention to you versus truly loving you. That's just what I think. We constantly seek validation through likes, whether someone commented on our post or if someone is constantly in contact with us. We think that's already interest, but it could just be attention. I mean, I can be attentive with a lot of people, but for me to really be interested, honestly, I'm not. Okay. I mean, because you can be attentive, but I think we constantly seek validation in so many ways that we never feel like we're enough in any way. So we transform and translate what it is. Genuine interest in a guy, or however we might call it, is used to fill you're filling a big void, which brings us back to the start of this conversation.
Yes, we need love, but self love first, because that way you don't look for that love in others. Let me ask you a question.
I think that nowadays, well, yes, I think what people are looking for, what would work best for any kind of situation, the best possible scenario is for people to have solid self-love and a well-established foundation. But if someone is a bit lost and then meets someone who is emotionally healthy, if you think someone can help you become better, absolutely. I mean, or does it always have to be your own individual process and you have to distance yourself from people and only then are you ready to go out and meet someone? No, no, no. That's the key. You can.
The ideal thing would be that while you're single, like you're doing, you build yourself up and come to the playing field better prepared, in good shape, knowing how to hit the ball and being a good team member for the team you're playing with. That's in the best case scenario, in the more normal cases, but that doesn't really happen either. It could be that, hey, I have shortcomings, emptiness, wounds, patterns, traumas. Since I'm a human being, I have a history, I have unconscious things. And when I'm with you, I start to see them in you, in the reflection you give me. Your job isn't to heal me. Your job is to accompany me while I heal myself. And I'll do the same for you. It's to support me, to listen to me, to let me know that you're there for me, to help me get tools, but it will never be your responsibility for me to heal. I'm telling you this, and I think it's one of the first times I've mentioned it. Relationships always challenge us with this. But by getting married, I entered a new level of the game. Yes, and I realized new things about myself and childhood wounds of mine and patterns and this character and these masks we talked about. Like, I'm the strong one. I save, I rescue, I do everything. Before I got married, that had worked for me. But after I got married, it started to consume me to the point where I forgot about myself because I was protecting my wife and looking out for her. So, whose responsibility was it? Mine, to break that pattern, heal that wound, and clear that trauma. But of course, if Karen, my wife, sending her a kiss wasn't there for me during my process, well, I would have either. I would feel that this woman isn't for me, and I would end things because she's not supporting me, or my process would just become more complicated because she would be a burden on top of everything I already carry. Yes. So, that's what we need to be very clear about. Our partner is not our mirror and a teacher, but they're not our savior. Yes. And a lot of people, probably on social media too, ask you, how is it that I want to have a partner just to be happy?
Love make you happy?
No. Love takes you on a journey of self-discovery that eventually makes you happy. Don't you think so? Yes, totally.
Although I do think, for example, there's this phrase that says you can't change for someone else. And I think that someone can come into your life, not that you literally change for them, but that they do inspire you to change. Totally. I mean, like you said, if you find a partner who, instead of just comforting you, instead of saying, I'll heal you, says, okay, let's work on it together. Someone who compliments you, they can really inspire you a lot. And I think you can't be so selfish or arrogant as to say, no, accept me as I am. Because that's not love. I mean, that's anything but love. So if someone comes along who truly inspires you, helps you, and challenges you to be better, obviously, like you mentioned earlier, it's going to be very uncomfortable. Requires commitment, effort, learning, and letting go, which is uncomfortable. So that's why nobody dares to enter a relationship like that. Because when someone challenges you, it might seem like they're not accepting you, but that's not necessarily the case. It's interesada. I mean, if you learn to really see with your eyes open, you can realize that what the other person is really looking for is something good for you in a selfless way. Because you being okay doesn't necessarily mean it's going to benefit that person. I mean, I think there's no love more beautiful than this love I'm talking about. The one that says, I know you can achieve something more. I believe in you, and whether you achieve it with me or apart, I think that's ultimately something that stays with you. So I also think you have to recognize that by choosing the right person, you can truly find a better version of yourself. But to find it, you first have to realize that there are many things in you that don't work. And nobody wants to accept that because everyone wants to be accepted as they are. And that's not functional either.
That famous "this is how I am" isn't really self love. It's more like just settling for how you are, right? What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's your comfort zone. I mean, that's also why so many toxic relationships are there. Not because they don't know it's wrong, but many know the relationship doesn't work there. But they don't leave because they know there could be something worse outside. I mean, within the bad that they already know. It's already your safe zone because you know how far you're capable of going. But throwing yourself out into the world means you might find something worse or something better. But fear, which is also a big factor, fear is bigger. And that's why. And obviously, when a person resigns themselves to being who they are, you prefer someone who accepts you as you are, even if that person isn't what you're looking for because you feel comfortable, rather than taking the risk of finding someone who makes you feel like you're the problem. Well, it's not like you're the problem, but there is a lot of room for improvement that you could, start to change.
But obviously, that involves a lot of commitment, a lot of work, and people don't want to do it. They want comfort, pleasure, or perfection. Which brings me to a question I want to ask you because, well, the audience won't let me lie. I have here a handsome, strong, young guy, successful on social media. You're the complete package. However, since you're single, I want to ask what you've noticed about yourself that has kept you from being in a relationship. Or, or what are you looking for in a relationship? What is it? What are those standards you have that have or haven't allowed you to connect with someone? Or do you simply not want to be with someone? No holding back, Emmanuel. Let's follow our own advice. I don't know. Yoni.
Well, I don't know. I think that the more you know what you want, the harder it is to find it. Why? Because obviously you no longer settle for just anything. I mean, you already know exactly what characteristics someone has to have or how the future has to look for me to take a chance on that. Look, I mean, thanks to my job, I meet a lot of people every day, and I'm not going to say that I don't sometimes meet people who are physically very attractive to me, but it's not just about looks or just about personality. I mean, there has to be a combination of many things for you to say it's worth giving it a try. I mean, I've been single for quite a while now, and it's not because I want to be Aria. Honestly, if I could find the right person today, I definitely wouldn't let her go. I mean, I would take the chance. And I think I'm just kind of waiting. I don't have anxiety about it, but that doesn't mean I don't want it. So, why hasn't it happened? Well, simply because I think I haven't found that person who makes me feel the way I know I'm going to feel. Because just like I feel I can give my 100%, I need to feel that someone, and not in a selfish way that I am their world, but I know that just like that person will become my priority when they arrive, I want someone who is looking for exactly the same thing as me, to form a team. Of course, that together we build something beautiful and big, and that we learn to see the good in everything, even when it seems like there isn't any. I mean, when there are bad things. It's complicated, even though it sounds simple. In theory, finding someone who says they want everything seems easy, but it's not. It's also not easy to offer everything, even though we all want it.
But can you reciprocate it? Or are you just asking like it's Santa Claus?
Nothing. No, I mean, since I was single for a long time too, I just focused on myself. And that helped me build my career. It helped me work on a lot of things I was carrying around, like insecurities. And it made me rethink why past relationships didn't work out and why people left. And I mean, I really did this inner work. So I feel like, well, we'll see when the person comes along, right? I'm definitely willing to give it my all. I mean, to understand that my world can actually adapt to someone else and not just say, accept me as I am, and that's it. It's more like, this is me, this is you. What can we do together? Where can we go together? Without necessarily leaving you aside or me putting my things aside, just so we can work. And I think it can happen. I mean, I think I'm just waiting for the right person, okay?
Here's where I'll ask two questions. Everyone has their own mind and world, and we respect that. People should create their own story and learn what they need. But I don't share this whole philosophy of polyamory, swingers, open relationships, infidelity, and all these games that have come as a result of modern love and all the different combinations. It's all to avoid committing to just one person. I'm definitely on the team for true love. I mean, I do believe in marriage. I do believe in everything we're talking about, in effort, in commitment, in becoming a better person each time, and becoming a better team together. But a lot of people don't anymore. And I want you to tell me if you who are listening to us still believe in true love or not. And by how you talk, it seems you do.
Do you,
Do you believe in marriage or lifelong love? Or do you think that's gone? I do believe it exists, and I support.
um, and not just pretending that I can love everyone and that it's my right and that's freedom. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you're really sacrificing is your freedom in many ways. They have, like I was saying, they sell us this concept of being autonomous, independent people, but without realizing it, we're falling into a game that traps us more and more in many ways. But anyway, that's another topic. I do believe in love. I do believe that at some point the right person will come into my life, and I do want to get married. I do want to have a family. I do believe that person can be someone I grow with in every way, someone I mature with, someone I grow old with. Grow old? Yes. Grow old? Grow old? Yes. Well, I mean, I do believe that person exists. And I think there are a lot of people who are looking for them. I mean, it's just that sometimes we get carried away with the new culture that tells you, no, just live your life. You only have one life. Experience things. Do whatever you want. And I think that in the end, what that creates is more emptiness. And that's exactly why people close themselves off more to the idea of love, because you end up finding only things that aren't love. But I think there are still a lot of people who keep looking for a beautiful kind of love. And it's going to happen. I mean, I think in a way there's already a cultural clash. People are starting to rebel again against the new ideologies today. And they're saying, no, old-fashioned love works better for me. Traditional love, beautiful love, love that works. And when I talk about love, I mean, love is love. Look, love doesn't hurt. And if it hurts, it's not love. I mean, we're also used to being told that for love to work, it has to be painful. And that's not true. There are setbacks and there are ups and downs. But that doesn't mean it's caused by love. It's caused by things that aren't really love. And you have to adapt to make it work. But I am in favor of long-lasting and beautiful relationships. And in the end, I have faith. Because even if the world was already upside down, I just need one person who thinks like me. That's enough for me, because that's who I'll team up with. I don't need to convince everyone or have everyone be like me. Because in the end, I just need one person to be like that. So my life goes well. When we suddenly see that things in the world are getting weird, it's like, look, there are weird, funny people out there. Some people are also seeking the same thing, if that's what you're after.
Well, understand that just like you're looking for it, there will also be someone else who does it. Okay. And more or less, what would the right person for Emmanuel look like? Because I'm sure there are thousands of women watching you right now, and they're saying, hey, I want that, right? Yeah, he's handsome. I want that.
Like, what is the right person in your own view? Look, everything I'm going to say, so that it doesn't sound selfish, everything I'm going to say, in a way I'm willing to give it.
And I feel like I live up to it.
So the characteristics I look for in someone else are what I feel I am. I mean, first of all, I look for a person I can admire. I think the person I'm with absolutely needs to have that. Someone I admire, and I don't just mean someone with a high-ranking job. They have to be a capable person, a responsible person, someone who wants to better themselves, someone who always aspires to have something bigger, something better. And I'm not talking about anything material. I mean, what I mean is that you can always keep building a better life. The person I'm with, if it's someone, they have to look for something serious. It's someone who, at some point, has to want a family. I mean, I couldn't be with someone, even if they're perfect in every way, but who tells me, I don't want kids. I couldn't, because for me, that's non-negotiable. Que se suele ver, I want someone who understands my lifestyle, because my job is kind of, different from what you usually see. And with these new generations, my job right now is social media conferences and the digital world in general. Someone who understands it, someone who's interested in understanding it, and someone who is willing to work as a team. I mean, someone who doesn't just look out for themselves. I mean, not just someone who thinks, I just want to feel good. I want someone who doesn't treat me like a trophy, just like I don't plan to treat her like a trophy either. Even if I'm super proud and thrilled to be with her, for me, she won't be a trophy, because for me, it's not something you can just show off like that. So I think these are things that sound basic to me, but I think nowadays in this world, it's not so easy to find someone who's looking for that. I mean, really, well, I don't even think it's like I have a list of requirements or anything like that. He has to attract me, yes, but it's not like I'm looking for a model I've already created in my head. I mean, as long as I like him, I don't know how.
For me, that's enough, but personality is more important. Physical attraction matters, but he should offer more real substance, not just on social media, but in who he is inside. I totally agree. Now we're going to move on to a section called Awesome Advice Emmanuel. Back in previous seasons of the podcast, I used to give everyone listening 4 awesome pieces of advice to close out the episode. One concerns your reality, the other is about your past, which I'll ask about soon. One is about your relationship with yourself, and another concerns your relationship with others, which we've discussed. And another is about your relationship with your future, with your life. So let's start with the first awesome piece of advice. Okay, go with whatever comes to you, just off the cuff. Regarding your relationship with your past, there are people who have been hurt in relationships that didn't work out. Or maybe there was some narcissistic abuse, or someone was unfaithful, or whatever it may be. And they're very afraid of getting hurt again. What advice can help people believe in love again and give it another chance?
Well, regarding your past experiences, I think you're not what happens to you. You're what you do with what happens to you. I mean, I think that by changing your perspective a little bit, the way you see things, it can have a completely different impact than what we have today. I think I would tell them that a broken heart heals, but a heart of stone does not. I mean, because sometimes we're afraid to take risks again out of fear of getting hurt again. Many don't realize that taking risks can lead to success, not just loss. We've been told to avoid risks and play it safe, but that's not always true. I mean, I think a broken heart can heal, but a heart of stone can't. Because if you isolate yourself, if you're constantly rejecting anyone who comes into your life just so you don't get hurt, believe me, that's the only thing it's going to create in you. It's more wounds, emptiness, and loneliness, leading to early indifference toward others and yourself. So I think my advice would be to just take the risk, obviously with precautions, but don't let fear control you. Of course.
And as you do what we recommend here, working on yourself, you'll end up choosing someone at your level, and you'll probably build a better relationship, right? It's less likely that you'll hurt each other, at least intentionally or very seriously. Yes. Regarding your relationship with yourself, we talked a bit about self-love. What awesome advice would you give people to reconnect with that self-love, to heal that heart you say can heal? What do you recommend to them?
Don't fall into complacency. I mean, I think first of all, as personal advice, love yourself, accept yourself, work on yourself if you don't like who you are. I mean, I also think that something we're so used to nowadays is people telling you to accept yourself just as you are, and it's not like that. I mean, self-love means finding things that are good for you, things that go well with your ideals. If you realize there are many things you can change You don't have to just accept yourself as you are. Instead, get rid of them, modify them, or add new ones. And from there, love can start to build within you because you start looking for what really makes you feel good and be yourself. And after that, when I say don't settle, just like sometimes it seems like the right person will never come along, don't just choose for the sake of choosing. I mean, believe me, it's better to be alone for a while. And look, I mentioned this in a video recently that they say there are two types of pain: the pain of being in a toxic or wrong relationship, and the pain of being alone. Because yes, there are many people who don't like being, alone in the sense. Not that I can't be alone, but that I do long to feel accompanied by someone. Trust me, being in the wrong relationship is 1,000 times more painful than being alone. So learn to choose well, learn to know yourself, and once you know yourself, you know exactly what you're looking for and what you need. Totally agree.
But there are relationships that make us feel lonelier than if we were alone. That's absolutely true. So watch out for that. And something I really like is accept yourself as you are, but don't settle for staying the way you are. Work on yourself. Look for new paths or ask for help. Do what you have to do, not because you deny yourself, but because you accept yourself so much that you say, okay, I have to shine a light on these shadows somehow. And that's incredibly powerful for self-love. Second to last awesome tip before we wrap up this session, Emmanuel, regarding your relationship with other people. Let's talk about dating, okay? Single people. How can they meet more people who are aligned with them and not just rush into things, but have a better dating process?
Oh, wow. How do you do it? You should be selective. Where are you meeting them? Khaz, I think, like with everything, there are exceptions, but possibly if what you're looking for is someone with values, someone who's more traditional, someone who's more in line with what you're looking for. For example, speaking about myself, I think I wouldn't look for someone at a club. What can I say? There can be exceptions. Maybe this girl is exactly what you need and what you're looking for, but I think the chances are lower. However, if you focus on other types of places, I don't know, like, although I don't recommend it, let's say the gym, maybe that person is there because they like self improvement, have discipline, are committed, and understand things take time. It's just a different situation. What can I say? I don't suggest picking up people at the gym since everyone is focused. I was about to ask you about it.
Look, now that we were talking about not flirting on social media or dating apps, but actually daring to approach people and all that, we're so disconnected. If someone wanted to flirt at the gym, everyone is wearing headphones or whatever, doing their own thing, or listening to a podcast and just focused on themselves. How would you do it there? Or what do you recommend to start a conversation at the gym or at a cafe or at the gym? Let's think about the headphones. How would you do it to establish trust?
I don't know. It's complicated because I feel like at the gym, personally, I'm also someone who goes with my headphones on and disconnects a bit from the world because I'm just focused on what I'm doing. But I think a good way would be to just do it directly. Nowadays, everyone beats around the bush. Sometimes they check your social media, add you, and then say, hey, I saw you at the gym twisting things around. I think a brave person, someone who dares to talk to you right then and there and says, hey, what's your name? I'm interested in getting to know you. I saw this about you and I liked it. I think courage is really appreciated.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a direct person. I think I've never done it except maybe once seeing someone at the gym and thinking I can't miss the chance to talk to them because usually I also don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I've only done it once in my life thinking, what do you have to lose? They might reject you. They might say no, but what could you gain? Of course, that it works out. Imagine if she becomes the woman of your life. So I think obviously you have to be a polite person. You have to know how to approach at the right moment. You're not going to be, bothering someone when they're doing squats or something like that. Of course, you have to find the right moment. But I think it is nice when people show you genuine and direct interest. So I think that could be it.
And if you don't want to be so direct, because being direct is always the best option since it shows your self-esteem, your self-assurance, your confidence. And for women, now that we're talking about men here, I think they like that confidence. And for men too, obviously, we like to see a woman who is willing to get to know us and so on. But one that worked for me at the gym, not that I did it many times, but are you using this machine? Huh? Are you using exactly the typical? Can we take turns? Hey, could you give me some guidance? Because I see that you used it, but I don't know how to use it. You build trust instantly and can quickly see how open someone is to communication. It's not about approaching or inviting them for coffee immediately, because then the next day you greet each other. Yeah, the next day you smile at each other.
You casually share things, which is nice, since it involves a strategy. Social media doesn't do that anymore. Now it just goes straight into the mind games.
And we're not talking about playing games. Playing games is that nonsense where I text you, but then I stop replying all day, even though I already saw your message. So you feel the anxiety of not having me, but that's not it. This is about building a connection, building it up, building it up. And then if they say yes to coffee with you, well, congratulations. And if not, well, at least you already have a friend at the gym or something, a friend at the gym. So either way, go for it. If you can go straight to the point without scaring them, go ahead. That would be the best. But if not, then start building it up little by little. It's part of it. Tomorrow, everyone at the gym trying to take turns on a machine with your friend. Are you using this machine? Here's one last great tip to end this session, Emmanuel. Regarding your relationship with the future, we just talked about the fears and the anxiety that these uncontrolled fears about the future can cause. A lot of single people have anxiety about ending up alone.
Yes.
What would you recommend to them to combat that anxiety or to reframe that belief?
Well, look, I think you should try to analyze why the anxiety about being alone comes up. I mean, why don't you know how to be alone? There's a saying that goes, if you feel lonely when you're alone, you're not ready to be with someone else. Because first you have to accept yourself to feel good being with yourself. I think in the end, you also have to learn to understand what it is that you want. I mean, I've realized this myself. And for a while, I had this thought. I didn't know if I was being too demanding with people. And that's why I didn't like anyone anymore. Or do I simply have what I want so well defined that I'm not going to accept just anyone until they meet what I need and what I'm looking for? So it really is important for you to make this distinction and start analyzing what's going on inside you. Now, if the person comes along, I think that's fine too. I think it's actually nice when someone has this kind of desire. I also think you can build it and look for it, because sometimes we have this idea that love just comes to you, that you don't look for love. But I think you can look for it. You just have to know where and how. Just as you search for a job or try to improve, why not take a chance on something as important as love and pursue it yourself? But you have to know how and where. I mean, you can't just want to get it, and you have to build it and build it. Yes. I mean, I think it's just about keeping your eyes wide open, and if it happens, great. But I think it's better to stay single for a while. Even though it might seem like you're not moving forward, by choosing, you could even ruin your life and make bad decisions. Because believe me, well, it's already been talked about a lot on social media. But choosing a partner is one of the most important decisions you can make in life, because it can either lift you up or drag you down. So I think you should see which difficult decision. If the difficult decision is to stay alone for a while until the right person comes along, which is hard, yes, because you have to learn to say no to many things. But the other difficult thing is to take the risk and stay with someone who isn't right for you. And that's sacrificing your future and missing the chance to possibly meet the right person. Okay. That's right. So which difficult do you want? That's right. I love it.
Also, as you explained well, you'll never feel alone if you like the person you are when you're by yourself. Yes, that's really important. And when you enjoy your single life, not just anyone is worthy of your company. And knowing that takes away all the anxiety about a future alone. So, my dear Emmanuel, all I have left is to thank you for coming, for being here, for being the godfather of the new season, the one who opened it.
And well, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Your social media? Tell us. I'm on all social media as Emmanuel. Emmanuel with double M. It's in 10 with an S, really on all of them. Hopefully you'll check out the videos and like them, maybe even relate to them. Yeah. And well, I think that in the end, what this kind of content aims for is to be promoted and for people to understand that there really are people trying to make a difference. Some people are still searching for something good, so we shouldn't lose hope. No matter how many of us there are, it can be done. Thank you for the invitation, Johnny. Time flew by. Time flew by. I feel like so many topics were brought up that in the end, it's hard to focus on all of them. But it's important to talk about them because they're part of it. you'll see we didn't just discuss modern or old-fashioned love. Actually, we talked very little about old-fashioned love. But, well, topics were brought up that will surely leave people with a good so that they can be questioning themselves and checking things within themselves in order to work on it.
This is an invitation to reflect, and we'll also invite you again because it was a pleasure talking with you. And so you don't miss any of the episodes or anything we do here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who might find it useful, especially men, so that more and more men dare to work on themselves, to be vulnerable, and everything we've talked about. I heard a beautiful phrase on another podcast that said, women, no, sorry, men are looking for women who no longer exist. Talking about this submissive woman, blah, blah, blah. And women are looking for men who don't exist yet. These are men who dare to be vulnerable, who let their guard down, who are not just strong anymore, but can also be sensitive. So share this with more men, and let's make it so that each one can conquer his own world individually, so that the world can be a little better overall. Emmanuel, thank you very much. Thank you. We're applauding for you here on set. See you soon.
A True Production.